Meditation is in two parts we know already. One is pacification or stabilization, and the other is mental stabilization and mental introspection. Stabilization is samatha and introspection is vipassana. That's in the Sanskrit language. In the Chinese language is 止观. And we have been spending quite a number of hours on counting under stabilization, counting, following, and stabilization. And we are now actually on introspection. And introspection is very important. Introspection is dealing with wisdom. And counting, following, and stabilization is dealing with how to focus, how to pacify the mind, how to calm down the mind. In meditation, we must first learn how to calm down the mind. That's almost the first procedure. If you can't even calm down, how can you introspect internally with wisdom? So you must know how to calm down. That's the reason why in everyday, in our life, we say, don't get agitated, calm down. So calm down is really absolutely important. And we have been talking about introspection. When we talk about introspection, we have to spend quite some time into it. How do we introspect? Introspect is to think about it internally. Introspection is not to be attracted to externalities. Introspection is to introspect within, to think about it, to ponder about it with wisdom. So it is very important that we have the right introspection. We could have the wrong introspection. If you introspect, think about something selfishly, egoistically, or you introspect with hatred, with greediness, with jealousy, then you're not introspecting right. You're using the wrong introspection to think. So in order to introspect, you must have the right introspection. And this right introspection is leading to nirvana. So you need the right introspection, not a wrongful, selfish, egoistic introspection. And in the Sanskrit language, this right introspection is samprajnaya. So the right introspection means you have a clear and right understanding with full awareness of the mind. And then the second question is, I need to have the right understanding. But what is the right understanding? I need to know what is the right understanding. How do you introspect in your everyday introspection? Let's get into some psychology. We must know some psychology in order to carry on with Buddhism, some basic psychology. What are you using to think? What are you thinking? When you're thinking, you must have concepts in your mind, right? If you don't have concepts, even a selfish concept is a concept. I want to protect myself. I want to gain. I want all the material. I want fame. I want money. I want reputation. That is your wrongful conception, but it's still a concept. You need concepts to think. And where do you get the concepts? Your concepts, you acquire those concepts since birth. It's based on your family background, based on how you grow up. And also some of these concepts were inherently passed from previous life to this life. And we call it karmic concepts, your karma. So you were born with concepts in your mind. Some were concepts accumulated in this life, some were in previous life. So the Buddha pointed out a lot of right concepts for us to introspect. If we have the wrong concepts, we say don't use the wrong concept to introspect. Use the right concept to introspect. So what are these right concepts? These right concepts are all contained in the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha brought out a lot of concepts, and if we can categorize them, some are general concepts and some are specific concepts. General concepts, the Buddha called this concept prajna concepts. And what is prajna? Concepts of introspection, the Buddha said, use prajna. Prajna is what? Prajna is a state of pure consciousness that transcends worldly concepts or belief systems that might impede perfect wisdom. So if there are concepts that impede that stop your perfect wisdom, that's not the right concept. If you have concepts of selfishness, egoistic belief, that's not the right concepts. Or concepts of killing, lying, you name them, a lot of wrong concepts. So this prajna concept transcends the ordinary selfish concepts, and it also transforms the tainted consciousness into ultimate understanding of the true nature of existence and reality. So prajna is required to attain enlightenment. So that's the reason why the right concept, we call it samprajnaya, jingjikin. You need the right concepts and specific concepts. And last time, we introduced some general concepts. So many concepts, the very general ones that you required. You need to know the threefold of existence, the fourfold of existence. And last time we stopped at a very important general concept. We call it paticca samuppada, very important concept, interdependent occurrence. Some people, very knowledgeable monks translate it in different ways. Some call it dependent origination, and some call it antecedental concurrence. But it's easier what is antecedental? It means one happened after another. One happened after another. All this change of arising is one happened after another, and samuppada means simultaneously. Although one after another, some happen simultaneously. They're all interdependent. So one depends on the other. So maybe we can call it in simple English, interdependent occurrence. I almost want to use the word just dependent occurrence, but dependence triggers something like control, like one depend on the other. So without me, you have to depend on me. There's a control into it. And the dependent is a mutuality, not one controlling the other. There's no control. It just happened naturally. Everything depends on everything. And in the Sanskrit language is hetu pachaya. Hetu, if we can just translate it, some people don't like to translate it that way, cost. Pachaya, necessary conditions. Hetu, in the Chinese language, yan. Pachaya, yun. Yan tong yun is very important. So, paticca samuppada, interdependent occurrence, explain the cycle of our existence. How do we come to exist? How do we become what we are today? Where did we come from? How can we get born? So this is a very important general concept. So that's the reason why we have to study the Buddha's teaching, because we need good prajna to introspect. We already have studied how to focus, how to pacify the mind, calm down the mind. But that's not the only thing. That's just the preliminary procedure. In other words, you need to stay put, calm down. The next is how to introspect. If you're successful in your final introspection, your complete understanding of the true nature of existence, you're on your way to wisdom. You're on your way to transcend samsara. So without wisdom, you cannot get out of reincarnation. You cannot get out of life and death. So you need wisdom. So this is what we are studying. We want to spend some time in introspection because that's the most important. If you just come down, just coming down, you're not arriving at enlightenment. You're not going towards enlightenment. Now, we said Paticca Samuppada. This is a concept that you must be 100% sure, 100% thoroughly understanding it before you can introspect. Because you can apply this introspection to almost everything that you see, you feel, you touch, you hear, everything you can think of, you can apply this Paticca Samuppada to it. So let's explore into it in detail. Looks very complicated, isn't it? It looks very complicated. Paticca Samuppada, interdependent occurrence. Where do we start? We've got to start at some point. It's like a loop. It's never-ending loop. Like a windmill. Like a windmill. Where does it start? Where does it stop? Let's take a point and talk about it. The beginning is the end is the beginning. In a windmill, what is the beginning? What's the point of beginning? The point of beginning is where it ends. There's no beginning, there's no end. A windmill. Do you remember that song, The Windmill of Your Mind? Windmill is, you can't find a point of beginning, you can't find a point of ending. But let's start with some point, for the sake of talking about it. Let's start with this. Let's start with here. Avidya. In Pali language is avidya, same in Sanskrit. Remember, Pali and Sanskrit, they're quite close, they're quite similar. What is avidya? Say ignorance. Ignorance, right? What is ignorance? Some very knowledgeable monks, like Bhante Punnaji, for example, I really respect that monk because he's very good at Pali. He did not translate it into ignorance. He translated it into insentience or mental unconsciousness. Because when you have avidya, ignorance, your state of mind, you're not in a rational thinking activity. You don't have any thinking activity in your state of mind. But you still have the emotional reaction in you that you brought forward from previous life. You may have a little bit of thinking mind that you brought forward from previous life. So we have to take an example to explain this. I started last time as when you were born as a baby. You were a baby. So you have to think in terms of an example in order to understand it. And that example, you really have to go back and think about it. This is a life cycle of a human. This is also the life cycle of a thought. Not just of a life cycle of a human, it's just a life cycle of the arising and the diminishing of a thought. So we use an example of you, of me, of a baby, right? We were inside the mother's embryo. Let's visualize it again. You were so comfortable in your mother's embryo. You were so warm. You have food from your mom in a tube, connected. You don't even have to breathe. Your mom breathed it for you when you are a little baby, when you are a little embryonic baby inside your mother's womb. Then you were not born yet. You were not born yet. And you were inside for 10 months, for example, in 10 months in your mother's womb. And then you come out. The mother went to the hospital, the doctor, and then you're coming out. When you come out, you don't know what's going on. You just come out. And that you don't know what's going on that is what? Ignorance. That is mental unconsciousness. You just know that you are being pushed. Remember, you are being pushed to come out. You're not willing to come out. You don't have control. Can you control? Say, I don't want to come out. I'm comfortable in my mother's womb. You're being pushed to come out. And if your mother cannot push you out, the doctor is going to pull you out, or the doctor is going to dissect, is going to do an operation in your mother's belly, and then take you out. You may not want to come out. Actually, you don't want to come out. So when you come out, you don't know what you're doing. All of a sudden, you feel that there's air conditioning, you feel a little cold, because you were so warm in your mother's body, you feel cold, and then you're being touched by the doctor. You're being touched because your skin is so tender, the atmosphere in your mother's womb is so warm. Now it is cold, you're being touched, you're being pushed, you don't like it. You don't like it. You dislike it. And then some baby automatically, when you dislike it, they struggle and they cry. They don't know why they cry, they just don't feel comfortable. And then some babies don't even know how to cry. Some babies, they cannot. If the baby don't cry, if the baby don't do any breathing, the baby will be dead. The baby does not know how to breathe because inside the mom, he does not breathe or she does not breathe. So what the doctor will do is turn the baby upside down and spank his bottom or spank her bottom. And then the baby feels painful. Once you feel painful, you dislike it. When you dislike it, you struggle and then you cry. So we say, you are ignorant. You don't have any thinking activity at that time. You just come out, you are ignorant, you don't know what's going on. You don't even know you are in a hospital. You don't even know why you have to come out. It's just the karmic energy brought you out. All the necessary conditions exist to make you come out. If the necessary conditions do not exist, you cannot come out. Say, for example, somehow your mom make a mistake and you're already half dead. When you come, you're already dead. When you're being pushed, that just increase your pain and then you died. You cannot come out. So, you need all the necessary conditions for you to be born. All the necessary conditions. If these necessary conditions don't exist, you cannot come out. So our existence is based on what? All the necessary conditions. That's a very important word. Necessary conditions. The whole system is based on necessary conditions. Hetu pachaya. Necessary conditions. Yun. Then avidya, you don't know. So then I haven't explained it. I haven't fully explained it yet. There's other questions that come up. I don't want to push myself too fast into it. You should have a question. Why am I get born? Why I get into my mom's body in the first place? Why do I have to be? Who is this that gets into my mom's body and become a baby? In other words, we've been talking about karma and rebirth. Am I being born again? Why do I have to come to this world through my mother's womb? Have you ever questioned that? Have you questioned about the existence? Why you exist? How you exist? What are the reasons for you being exist? What's the difference between an animal and a human being? An animal just reacts. When the animal is hungry, he's looking for food. There's no food, the animal is going to kill each other for food. So the difference between an animal, the animal just exists, but the humans think about the meaning of existence, the value of existence, the reasons of existence, the how, the why, the when of existence. If you don't even think about that, what's the difference between an animal and a human being? Because a human being wants to know, or is trying to know, why exist. If you don't care about existence, you have lived a life that is ignorant because you don't care about it. Everyone here, you care. That's the reason why you come here, to learn about why we exist. Why do we have avidya? Why do we have ignorance? So in order to know more, a little bit about avidya, we have to know about consciousness. Why are we conscious at all? Our consciousness is broken into eight parts. Before we even go on, we stop at avidya. So we have the body and the mind. The body is materiality. We call it rupa, the body, rupa. And the body is made up of molecules and cells and all that. And the mind is made up of 4 parts. Perception, mental construction, sensation and feelings. All these will go through in Paticcasamuppada. But at this point, you have to know, because you want to carry it a little further. Why do we get born? We have the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and we stop at here right now, the mind. Our mind actually is in 3 parts. The mano, that is the thinking mind. The manas, emotional mind. 8, the storage and the interaction house for all. When a person dies, there's no more vision. There's no more vision consciousness. There's no more auditory consciousness. The ears, when a person dies, you don't hear anything. When a person dies, there's no olfactory consciousness, the smelling. When a person dies, no taste, no tactile, no touch. But then you still have the mind, right? The thinking mind is the last to go, almost one of the last to go. But then the thinking mind also contains the emotional mind, which is the ego. So you have the thinking mind, which in the Pali language is the mano. You have the emotional mind, which in the Pali language is chitta. And then you also have the alaya mind, the alaya consciousness. The alaya consciousness, the Theravada school, they never mentioned that. The Theravada school only mentioned up to the 6. In other words, eyes, ears, nose, taste, tactile, and mano. Theravada school, they don't want to deal with such a complication. They stop at mano. So they don't explain manas and alaya. But the Mahayana, Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu, and Asanga, they go a little forward into more detail. And I like to introduce to you not just the Theravada school, but also the Mahayana school, which is in a little bit more detail. The manas is the ego. When you were born as the baby, even inside your mother's womb, you already have that ego. You already have that ego in you. So that's the reason why every baby has different personalities. Some people are so mild and tender. Some babies are so ferocious and so active. Each baby is different at birth already. Alaya consciousness is the storage of all the previous karmic energy into this life. So why would you get born? Because you're a liar, get born into the mother's womb. When a man and a woman, so to speak, comes together for the sperm and the ovary to fuse, that karmic energy, that alaya, flickers into it immediately. Because the alaya is looking for related parties to be born. So at that juncture, when it is fused, that alaya, I don't know how to call it, we call it consciousness. And yet consciousness is not the right word for it. It's just that consciousness, invisible consciousness, get born into the embryo. And why being the daughter and son of this couple? That could be the grandfather of previous lives. That could be many, many lives. That baby born in there must be a reason to be born in there. They're all related, could be. He's being born in order to repay, for example, the debts. Being born in order to get back what he wants. So every baby is a little different. The karmic energy is there already. So the alaya consciousness zoomed into the embryo before he was born. But that alaya consciousness is what? It's just like a recording consciousness, a storage consciousness. If you're an accountant, then I'll give you an example. Because I was an accountant before, it's easy to give an accounting example. The alaya consciousness is just like a general ledger. It recorded all the debit and the credit. The debit of life, the credit of life. The liability is what you own. The receivable is what other people owe you. So, but the alaya consciousness, the general ledger does not matter. You just record into it. I just take the recording. I never judge, how come this 50 cents is there? How come you wrote in the $60? How come you have this $100? The accountant cannot question, hey, don't put $60 in the bank account. The accountant just record. He never questioned each transaction. The transaction you have done, that could be an evil transaction. That could be a meritorious transaction, a beneficial transaction, a greedy transaction, a compassionate transaction. All these transactions recorded in that general ledger. You can't get away with it. Every thought is recorded. You think you can get away, you did something wrong, the police don't get you, you can get away with it? No. You cannot get away, even though you intelligently fought the case and the judge say you're not guilty, but actually you were. You think, oh yeah, the judge thought that, the judge put a judgment that I'm not guilty. I know inside me, I'm guilty, but how come okay, I'm just lucky. You can get away with it? No. You can get away now, but it's recorded. You can't get away. So be very careful about every thought, every action, every speech. You can't get away. You do nothing but good, then good cause will come. You do nothing but bad effect will come. You can't get away with it. So remember, we have this, because in avidya that we explained, you would ask, how come I get born into my baby in my mother's womb? Because the karmic energy pulled you there, not God. Not God. No. Don't try to personify a God. The energy itself pull you to that party. The energy, your energy of richness, pull you to a rich family. Your energy of poverty pull you to a poor family. Nobody else is making decision for you. So the Buddha said, be very careful with every thought. If it is being performed, it's too late. If it's spoken, it's too late. Starts from the thought. Purify your thought. That's why we have meditation. It comes from the thought. It's very important that you have to purify your thought. Don't germinate, don't cultivate any bad thought anymore. Every thought is a thought of compassion. Every thought is karuna. Every thought is mudita. Every thought is nothing but good. Then goodness will follow you. You don't think it's important? Starts from the thought, not action and speech. So every thought, but first of all you have to know, oh, I have a thought of bad deeds come up. Then you have to know that that thought comes up, right? That belongs to pacification, stabilization. That belongs to, oh, a thought comes up, bad thought. I stopped it. Some people don't even know to stop it. A thought of gambling comes up. I'm passing a casino, I got to go in. I know gambling is not right. But I have to go, I go in because I cannot stop myself from going in. A thought of drugs, intoxication, smoking comes up, I cannot stop it. I'm being attracted to it. So you have to know how to stop your bad thoughts and how to breathe good thoughts. That's stabilization. That's calming down the mind. So you must know how to stop bad thoughts first. And I'm assuming we all have learned that. We have all learned that, oh, this is a bad thought coming up. I got to stop it. Can you do that? Very difficult. Because you have been selfish since millions of years. Everything you do is for the benefit of yourself first. You could be compassionate, but there's a second citizen. You treat yourself in a way that enhances yourself. That's what we call a self. That's what we call a self. You have a self, we have an ego. And we brought that self-ego feeling life after life. That's avidya. There's avidya. Even the baby you brought along with that, avidya. So let's get back to the origin of it. So avidya, we start with no mental activity. As a baby, we have no control. Our karmic energy pulls us to this mom's womb, and then we come out from the mom's womb, and then with ignorance, we're not in a state of thinking, because I'm a baby, a baby still have emotions. So the baby, the first thing that the baby does is what? Breathing. Breathing. The baby has to breathe to be alive, right? The baby, in addition to breathing, is struggling and crying, right? And that's what? That's the second one. That's what? That is Sankara. Initial mental construction. I don't like this cold around me. I don't like to be touched. I was quite warm before, now it's cold. I had to breathe now. What's going on? I don't know what's going on. So there's a mental construction. You have some mental construction. You also build up what? Build up sensation. Sensation, what is a sensation? A sensation of liking it, disliking it. It's pleasant, I like it. It's unpleasant, I don't like it. It could be neutral. So Sankara is a mental construction. You build it up immediately, initial mental construction. And if it is the mental part, we call it Vedana. It's a mental. Mental what? Mental means, is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? Do I like it? If I don't like it, I cry. If I like it, I don't cry. Verbal, the crying itself is verbal. Is a verbal. And then Anapana. Anapana is what? Anapanasati, right? Anapana is what? The breathing. The breathing itself. So that is Sankara. And from being a baby, doing that, we'll continue to develop ourselves. We get the Vijnana, Namarupa, and all those. We just explained avidya, and we have begun to explain Sankara as a baby. How do we react as a baby? And how do we react with the mentality of it, with the verbal part of it, with the physical part of it. And if we continue to ponder on it, on this cycle, gradually we come to an understanding that existence is a delusion. Our existence is a delusion. But we firmly grasp onto existence with a self, with an ego. And this grasping leads us to the cultivation of karmic energy. This karmic energy could be good, could be bad, but most of it is in the erroneous way. That's the reason why we suffer. Suffering comes. This explains why we have suffering, why we have unhappiness. Although we have temporary happiness, why do we have unhappiness? Why do we have suffering? How to get away from suffering? And getting away from suffering cannot be solved by just having more money. You think by having more money, then you can get away from suffering? When you don't have, they say, yes, I don't have any money now, I need more money. Money I have, I don't have any suffering. But when you have money, you still suffer. So that's avidya. Get that word in your mind. Avidya. Ignorance. Mental unconsciousness. And you brought forward all your karmic energy. Your alaya consciousness is there. And when you have that body, you already have that mind of ego. You egotize everything, and some people call it personalize everything. We personalize everything. We attach everything with an ego. And we explain all these things later, bit by bit. When you go home, maybe I'll give this slide to you so that you can go home and think about it later. Ponder on it and why we're going through life and death. Why we have samsara. Why do we have karmic birth and rebirth? And why do we think in a certain way? And how to transcend this. The Buddha has found ways to transcend this. The Buddha, first of all, told us to understand this first. To understand why are we in samsara, and then attempt to transcend samsara. It's very rational. It's not about the religious personification of a god, no. God is just a human concept. We're not denying that concept. We don't think that concept is evil, no. We're just a concept. Because humans are so insecure. Thousands of years ago when they were born, they were still hunting. And they were so insecure that they want, something invisible for protection. That gave them security. But as this security, this search for security it develops into religion that is utilized by people who are egoistic too. People who benefit from religion. And they set up a taboo for it. It's a religion. They set up a religion concept. That God is in you. Everybody has that God. That God, if you can transcend ignorance, transcend avidya, you're on your way to transcend life and death. That's exactly what the Buddha is talking about. Not many people are interested in this. What they're interested in? Money, fame, reputation, that's all. And then they roll into the next life again. It takes wisdom to get into this. And some people live 100 years, they even heard about this. They just die and take another life. Roll on into avidya, roll on into this interdependent occurrence. They roll on this paticca samuppada, never ending, like a windmill, never ending. Are you interested in ending all this? The Buddha said, stop this samsara, go on. Stop suffering, not just for yourself, for all your folks. Tell them this is how to transcend suffering. The Bodhisattva said, I get out from this, but I want all my folks to get out from this. I get out from jail. I'm okay, but then I want everybody to get out from jail. You're free, but your folks are not free. You need them to go free too. This is exactly what the Buddha is doing.